if you don't win the drawing here. And I'm going to pull the first one here, and this is Mr. Arun Nimani of Aptech. There you go. Thank you very much. Let's see, one more. And Deepak Verma of Merrill Lynch. Thank you very much. Okay, so let's start our formal event for this evening. To get the process going, I'm going to first introduce the moderator of our panel. The panel is, of course, building a Facebook in Bangalore. And the moderator is Sandeep Sood. And let me introduce Sandeep Sood. Sandeep, are you around? Where are you? There you are. Okay. I'm going to quickly read Sandeep's bio here. So he has been running a boutique software consultancy company since 2001. His company, BCN Digital Monsoon, has offices in Berkeley, Chandigarh, Pune, and Mumbai. They have been working with clients such as Wells Fargo, Microsoft, HP, and Cisco for about 5 years now. And more recently, they have begun working on product development with a select group of Web 2.0 companies. By select, he means companies that have money or they have received funding. He doesn't want to deal with people that have no money. In 2003, he also started a South Asian comic strip called Badmash, which sent a weekly comic to about 150,000 people around the world. Badmash also produced a series of viral animations. Some of you may recall the Sing-Sons, or the Amitabh Bachchan election spoof, which were downloaded a few million times and featured in Newsweek, USA Today, and the Times of India. So what is building Facebook in Bangalore? With apologies to Tom Friedman, Sandeep believes that the world is not flat. It is curvy, lumpy, full of nooks and crannies. And if you try to develop software with a global team, you already know this. In this panel, we will talk about the bumps and humps of working in and around the world, and we will discuss how best to take advantage of global collaboration. With that, I'd like to introduce Sandeep Sood. Thank you for that.
Thanks, guys. That intro was worth it just to hear Meyer say bumps and humps. So just excuse me for a second, I'll bring the presentation up. Is there a wireless mic available? I'm going to get a bad back standing up here. Alright, well, I'll go ahead and start. We're going to ask one fundamental question today. It's the question you see up here on the slide, which is, can you build Facebook in Bangalore? And by that, contrary to some emails I've received, I'm not asking can you build Facebook apps in Bangalore. I'm not asking if you can build a Facebook clone in Bangalore. But rather I'm asking, can you build the culture, the spirit of innovation, and the dedication to product that it takes to produce something like a Facebook, that it takes to architect a company like a Google rather than a company like an Infosys. And with that, I'm going to grab a wireless mic. Okay, everyone can hear me okay? All right, great. So, a few of you may have read this book. This book is about as easy to find in an executive's office as a yoga studio in Berkeley these days. Everyone's read it, everyone's heard of it, everyone's now sending it to them. And its success is based on a very popular and very powerful metaphor. And that metaphor is that the world is flat. I don't buy it. I don't think the world is flat, and not just on a scientific level. The type of innovation, most of us in this room have actually done some global work. So most of us know that the challenges that come up, the type of management that it takes, dictate that getting something done with a global team is, by nature, at its essence, a bit more difficult and challenging than getting something done with someone whose cube you can walk over to. So I believe the world is round. years ago, I wrote this article in Esquire magazine. It was about getting secretaries in India, or office managers in India, to help you manage your life. And this article is excellent. He talks about getting the secretary to do everything from handle his vacation plans to help him argue with his wife. And quite entertaining, and I read this and I thought, hey, I have a team in India. I should have a secretary in India as well. And at the time, there was no chance of me ever affording a secretary in the U.S., so I thought, great, I can afford a secretary in India. And so I signed one up. I signed up with the service they actually recommend in the magazine, which I later learned was usually a really bad idea. So I signed up with the company, and I got my very own secretary in India. And I was, walking with this new swagger. I suddenly felt like I was a very important guy. I would go to restaurants, and they would say, Mr. Sue, your secretary would book the table for you in the back, and I felt great. So I started getting a little bit more gutsy with my secretary. I started moving to more challenging tasks. I started figuring out that maybe she or he can handle some more interesting stuff. So I had a business trip. I was going from San Francisco to New Jersey. And I was meeting with a company there, one of our former clients, called Phoenix Marketing Systems. And so I asked my administrative assistant to book my travel, take care of my hotel, and also to take care of all the driving directions that I needed while I was over there. So everything was great. Flight came on time, I arrived there, and my rental car was waiting for me. I go to my rental car, and I'm looking up directions to get from the airport to Phoenix Marketing Solutions, which is where my first meeting was. And my administrative assistant gave me directions from almost where I was from. So I was driving, according to this map, I was supposed to drive from New Jersey to Phoenix, Arizona. And it was probably at that moment that I realized that the world, indeed, is definitely, and without a doubt, round. So with that, we're going to talk about our panelists, bring them up here. All of them have some very interesting backgrounds, and we're going to talk about the round world. So I'd like to introduce first Vineet Bush. Why don't you come up here and join us? Vineet runs a company called Blue Run. It's a venture capital firm. And most interestingly, I'm actually going to give a very brief bio for each person, but most interestingly, they've worked with an Indian team to build some very successful Facebook applications. So although today's panel is not about building Facebook apps in Bangalore, Vineet can share some very cool insights from that. Next, I'd like to introduce a very pixelated Vaibhav Bangalore. Last minute presentations sometimes lead to this. Vaibhav runs a company called Better Labs. Better Labs is one of the oldest and probably the most experienced Ruby on Rails team in India. And if for those of you who don't know, Ruby on Rails is a quote-unquote Web 2.0 programming language, and they've built a number of great applications. Next up, we have Munjur Shah. So while uploading pictures of his son Devin to one of his photo accounts, Munjur thought, wouldn't it be cool if I could upload one picture of my son, tell an application that this is my son, and then have it figure out by going through all my photos, maybe even by going through photos online, that all of these pictures are indeed of my son. And with that was born a company called Ria, which also has a product called Like.com, which we can tell you more about. Next up, we have Rashmi Sinha. Rashmi Sinha runs Uzanto, which is responsible for a very successful web application called SlideShare. And SlideShare allows you to upload PowerPoint presentations and share them within a community. And there are some fascinating resources online. And last up, we have Gary Swift. And Gary, you're last not because you're right, but because your name came last, I promise.
I was going to say.
So Gary is CEO of Odesk, and Odesk is fashioning itself to become the marketplace for outsourcing. Everything from small one-off jobs to larger application work, you can go to the site, either ask for people to help you, or go on the site and become a resource for a number of companies all over the world. And with that, we can give our panelists one round of applause. Excellent. So, wow, I just noticed that Facebook here is two words. And this was also part of my team in India helping me to produce my PowerPoint presentation today. So the question we're going to start with today is obviously, can you build Facebook in Bangalore? Doing the math, if you take the population of India and of the United States, statistically, we should have 3.75 Mark Zuckerbergs in India. There should have been 3.75 guys who came up with the idea, or at least had the innovative spirit, to build something that